Okay, here we are, at the tunnel. Great, we found it. Now, all we need is the card that I want. That one forbidden card that will make this run the best run ever. Please, 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 be that. Oh, come on. Hey, Neppers, it's me, Wild Neptune. If you're anything like me, you probably experienced something similar to the little skit we had at the beginning of the episode. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about that, forbidden cards, and how their power has kind of skewed the way that me and probably a lot of you are playing the game right now. I want to start out by saying that the frustration is more than just I didn't get the right forbidden card and it runs over. Obviously, there's much more RNG and everything that can ruin your run potentially. However, there are other things on why it's ruining the run more than you don't get the cards you want and everything like that. Part of it is simply that we've been running this particular chaos for a very long time now in the event, and when you run this event for that long and that's so many runs, then yeah, you are bound to have very busted decks and card pools, and the only real improvements is to hit all this RNG. Now it's just a bad thing. I don't particularly think so, no, because it has replayability, right? And let's be honest here. Me and probably some of you guys watching are in like the upper echelon of players in terms of like playtime and what you want to do with the game and stuff like that. Like we are. Let's be honest here. The game is not really designed to be played at the extent that some of us are probably playing the game. Where yes, we can get improvements, but these improvements that we're getting are so rare, and we really have to min max to chase them. Like case in point, this deck right here I have with my Veronica. Very, very strong deck overall. I think most people, including me, I'm very happy with this. Like, look at this. See, 2 0 cost, draw 3 reposes. We have the pendant with the Micro Ballista, which is Divine Epiphany for the morale. We have the 50% extra chance Ballista firing prep. We deleted a Rapid Fire and the Shield Flower too. We have 2 Kowalskis, a pretty good one, not the best one overall, but a pretty good one that pairs pretty well with the pendant actually. We have a forbidden card that is not the best, but a usable one that does exhaust, so we thin our deck even more. In fact, we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 cards in this 9 card setup here that get poofed after we use them. So basically, we're down to 5 cards. 2 of them cost 0. And the other 2 of them are pretty good. And one of them, is a whatever card we can probably delete with maybe another card during the actual fight. So a very small, very concise deck. However, only 140 points have been used. So in my mind, I just know, oh, I could have fit a confiscation in here to make this even better. That's like how you think a little bit after you run so many times and you've seen so many decks like this where, hey, what can I do to make the deck better overall? So I think that's part of it, where you just had so many chances to make decks like this that you just want the next step and get in that deck that's a tiny, tiny bit better for really no other reason but to get the deck, because this deck right here, when combined with other decks of similar power, can easily clear like any other like non-chaos whatever thing that you wanted to clear. Like let's be honest here, it's just more for like bragging rights and stuff like that. However, I do want to stick with the main thing, which is going to be the forbidden cards. What I think is the crux of the issue is just how powerful forbidden cards are for their costs. Now, like I said, there's more to it than just not getting the right forbidden card. There's a lot more RNG that goes on in making or breaking your deck. But in my opinion, because forbidden cards are so strong, that not getting the one you want is the main thing right now that is going to make so that you determine if you want to end your run or keep going. Now, of course, if you're a casual player and all of that, you don't really care about that and just complete the run, everything's perfectly fine. And that's perfectly fine, right? Play the way you want to play the game. But a lot of players are going to be chasing, the best decks possible. Again, for no other reason, but just to have the best deck possible because it's cool and it's fun. Like, let's be honest here. But it's like, you look at cards like Forbidden, Execute Violence, right? 150 times 4 on a card that essentially costs 0, okay? You compare it to Shy Gardener, one of the best DPS monster cards in the entire game right now. Less damage for more AP. Now it does have a nice bonus effect, 3 mark. That's pretty good actually. Actually really good. And this card and a lot of monster cards can epiphanize. Remember, forbidden cards can epiphanize into extremely powerful cards that some of them, on par with forbidden cards. Like, you look at something like Humanoid Beast, which I believe can get even more damage, and maybe I think it can also get stuff like vulnerability hits, stuff like that. So another really strong card. And of course, we all know about the incredibly busted Spirit Fox, maybe the best in a vacuum. If all cards cost 0, best card in the game because you can dupe any card that you want. And also you also draw the cards too, which is like incredibly busted, right? So you basically get to copy anything. So the thing is though, these cards, these monster cards, no matter how good or how bad some of them are, cost 80 points base, and epiphanies costs more, right? So up to basically half to over half your point value of your deck will go into one of these cards. So you really have to choose really, really well on which one you want. The thing is though, is that these forbidden cards, like no matter which one it is, 20 points. And that's it. Now, am I saying that these cards, power level wise, should be more than 20 points? Yes. Some of these cards, like most of them, are the strongest cards in the entire game. Yes, like power wise, they should be worth more than 20 points. Now, do I think they should be on like a fun scale? No, of course not. In fact, I think the fact that it costs so little is actually a really, really good move, and that in the future, obviously, when we have like new chaoses to run and new event cards to grab, right? Some of them which will be just as strong, maybe even stronger than some of these overall, they should also be a low point value. Just because it makes for more diverse deck building, just have more fun in getting the cards you want, more combo potential, stuff like that. I think the fact that it costs really little is actually a really good thing. What I do think should happen though is that the amount of RNG you need to get the right one should be lowered. And if this was the only really big form of RNG it took to make a good deck, I would say that's fine, right? Keep this RNG in. But there's enough other RNG, like getting the right epiphanies you want, you're getting like maybe the right events you want also, getting the right gear, getting the copy events, stuff like that. I think there's getting the right other copies in like the end bosses. I think there's enough of that where we can afford to eliminate a little more RNG and letting us maybe choose more from more of a pool of forbidden cards or whatever event cards in the future. Maybe make it so that we have like a pity system where, hey, if you do not see this particular forbidden card in like 5 runs, okay, you will guarantee that you will get it on this X run, and then on that X run you can prepare for getting that forbidden card overall. So maybe something like that happens too. Those are things I think could be implemented, and it would not really hurt, on the biggest scale, the replayability of the game. Because to be honest here, it's getting to a point where I think for some players, it's become a little more frustrating than fun in chasing, these forbidden cards and just bricking your runs because, hey, I want to get my extra skill of violence for my Rin, but I keep, pulling like Forbidden Hunger and stuff like that. While we're here too, on a bit of a side tangent, I do think that they could also reduce the cost of monster cards. I thought this before, even before Forbidden Cards. I thought 80 points when I saw it was pretty insane for the amount of points that it took up. Like, we always knew that monster cards took up a lot of points, but I don't think we really knew how much of a deck value they really hit. But now that we know that these Forbidden cards are 20 points and the monster cards are 80 plus more with Epiphanies, that's pretty nuts, right? So yeah, I do think that they could, like, lower them a little bit. Like, how much they could lower them, I don't know. I was thinking 40, but some of the monster cards are really, really, really strong, and having, like, I guess, like, 40, let's say, have 2 over, and that's, I guess, it's fine, right? I guess maybe we can live with decks having 2 Spirit Foxes. The other thing too, monster cards are not very well balanced. I think there's so many of them, and some of them are just, like, not very good or extremely niche. Now, obviously, I don't have every character built, so I can't, like, build every single combo. I don't even have every single monster card. It's like, I don't even know what this thing does. I did this. I think this is from Blue Pot, which makes sense because I don't really run Blue Pot that many times. But yeah, it's like you look at a card like, again, let's say Sorrowful Godfather, one of the best damage cards in the entire game, and then you look at something like, what do we have here, like Chilling Godfather, right? Which is a activate 1, then move a card or stuff like that, which is okay, right? Actually, could be decent for, like, getting rid of things like the Untitled Hunger and stuff like that. The problem is that this is 80 points and not really worth the deck slot. It's like this card here, Elemental Phoenix, a strong card. The shield is so big that you basically eliminate your need to do anything with that turn. It's like a get out of jail free. It's an ice block, right? If you played Hearthstone, this is essentially ice block. But are you gonna run that, or are you just gonna run something like, say, where is it? Guidance of Futility, where you just draw so many times, you just heal, and you have full health, so you never have to really worry about being at low health ever, right? The only way that you can die is by getting one shot. You have that option, right? Are you gonna run something that, like, draws you cards, like, say, Salamander, draw 4 for 1, pretty good, I would say, right? Or are you just gonna consistently draw so many cards, like, every single turn, like to Eternal Hunger, which also gives you AP, or to Disposable Ego, right, which doesn't exhaust and also potentially draw you more cards too, right? It's like, some of, like, the power discrepancy in them is just so large, and it's really, really hard to find ways to fit monster cards into your deck, which is unfortunate because, like, some of them have really cool abilities and really cool effects again. It's like, where's that 3 cost right here? Beam Shooter. This card, it does a lot. Let me tell you, this does a lot of damage. Okay, like, the 350, I think is, like, unassuming. If it's shield with 400, this thing, like, blasts through shields. Like, I have this on one of my Felipe builds, and it hits like a truck. Okay, holy crap! Really, really fun to use too. But is it worth 80, 100, 110 points? No. It's not. So, yeah, again, a little bit of side tangent there, just because I think it really compares the power of the Forbidden cards versus the power of the monster cards. Now, some of them are better than other ones too, but I do think maybe some slight cost, like, adjustments for monster cards could also be in need to happen, just to have a little more diverse deck building and to be excited when we see those monster cards instead of being like, oh look, another card. I have to say I don't want to put it on my character because the cost just, the value just isn't there. So yeah. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, this discussion on forbidden cards, the RNG a little bit, also some monster cards too, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Neptune. It's been a good one. Till next time.